Welcome to our first panel discussion on challenges in blockchain technology and application. So let's welcome our distinguished panelist, Professor Liu Yang. So you already know Prof. Liu, so I won't introduce more, and Prof. Zhu Feida from SMU. And Dr. Derek Wang, General Manager, Alibaba Cloud Singapore, South Asia and Thailand. And Dr. George Shao, CTO of Mind Network. So before we start, I will just introduce a little bit more about Dr. Wang and Dr. Shao. So Dr. Derek Wang is the General Manager of Alibaba Cloud Singapore, leading teams across marketing, sales, pre-sales, and technical support to deliver success for Singaporean customers in cloud computing and data intelligence. And Dr. George Shao from Mind Network, so he's the CTO, and his current research focus is on zero trust AI and cryptography. So he has actually academic background from UK, but now he's trying to convert academic research into financial and cloud industry. His company, Mind Network, is invested by Binance and also hold an Ethereum fellowship. Okay, so we have about 30 minutes to try to understand more about the challenges in applying blockchain in these different industries. So I think throughout the different talks we have already learned there's so many opportunities. There's different applications that might revolutionize a lot of traditional industry, but really there are still a lot of challenges out there to really make that happen in the near future. So in this discussion, we'll try to have a dialogue with all these distinguished panelists to understand their perspective and views on these issues. Okay, so I'll start with the first question. So could you share some case studies or examples where enterprises have successfully integrated blockchain technology beyond financial applications? We can, any of the panelists who is interested in taking this question can start right away, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Derek Wang from Alibaba Cloud. Nowadays, I think the blockchain technology has expanded its initial application beyond the financial and cryptocurrency scenarios. It has been applied in various scenarios in different industries, such as in healthcare, logistics, some others. And for Alibaba itself, we do have several applications in different our business units. For example, for the supply chain management, Alibaba Group Hema Grocery. I don't know whether you have been to China. Hema Grocery is very popular. Hema Shenzhen. It's an online and offline e-commerce business together. Some like the Rema combined with fair price. So for the Hema food, all the food supply chain, you can get the transparency for the food and then traceability. For example, it is using based on the blockchain to provide a one-stop solution. All the consumers can have the transparency for the food from the farm to the store, such as the king crab, some durian, and the bird's nest. Some luxury food. It can make an authenticity and guarantee the quality of the goods supply chain. So these are very important scenario for our retail. And then the other instance is that for the cloudverse, we have a joint solution together with our partner called Avalanche. We build up a metaverse space based on the blockchain technology, and it can make our our users very easily to design and build and manage all your metaverse space on the Cloudverse. This is an innovation we are using. And in there are also some other scenarios such as the ESG for the carbon emission. We also launch a technology or product called Energy Expert. It can trace all the carbon emission for the enterprise, the upstream and downstream. We already use this in Singapore esports events. So all the esports facilities can be traced for the carbon emission. So these are only several instances we are using, and we are also finding more and more instances in different scenarios.
Yeah. Because we are focused on public chain, so I can maybe supply a few other use case from the public chain domain. So we released our testnet maybe 2 months ago, and we also have some partner working together with us. So maybe I'm just going to give 2 examples. One example, Mind Network is building a zero trust infrastructure to secure data, smart contract, and also the AI for Web3. So one of the use case from the community is a German-based IoT startup. They actually bring their data on-chain. But home IoT information, if you make it public, then people will, there will be a risk to leak your security information at home. For example, knowing whether you are at home or not. So those information should be private, but they want to get the benefit with blockchain technology for the financial incentive. So they are using our technology for this use case, but working on a kind of enable the computation over the encrypted data. So that's one real use case from our side. Another side may be relevant to the AI is because right now, even if you are using, for example, ChatGPT, your behavior, your interaction with ChatGPT, we call it as a memory. Those memory, I try to download, I cannot get it successful to download. So that means my data interact with ChatGPT also not belongs to us. So whether we can using blockchain to really control the data ownership for ourselves, that's another kind of real use case happening in the world. And even though public chain has been used a lot for the financial purposes, but even for the traditional financial institute, they are trying to using blockchain to do other work. For example, for operation. For example, bank they may want to do the user profiling for online users. So how to integrating with blockchain or Web3 technologies. This is another use case which is beyond the financial applications.
Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing these very interesting business applications, real-world applications, Dr. Wang and Dr. Shao. So Prof. Liu and Prof. Zhu, do you have something to add?
Maybe just quickly add, I think supply chain is generally a good application, not only the traditional supply chain, but also we can see the recent interesting application on the digital information. Like one company called TruePic, which is doing the authentication and tracing of the pictures and videos. And another company, interesting company called MediLedger, which is working on the tracking of pharmaceutical supply chain, like all the company like Pfizer. So these are the traditional one. But the more interesting things, I think, even we move the traditional supply chain to the digital assets to the software supply chain. This is another possibility and direction. And actually, if you go further for the software development, like the graph, I think it's also a very good example to decompose the software development task into kind of different kind of subgraphs so that you can manage internally. So I think there will be more and more interesting application coming out. I think it's more from the traditional kind of world into more kind of digital world. So this is my feeling. Yeah.
I always think the biggest potential of blockchain is actually to establish some virtual asset. I mean, I'm not a big fan of so-called RWA, real world asset, because I think there's not much thing you can do beyond the real world asset. What blockchain is capable of is actually unleashing the power of this virtual asset. I just showed some example of establishing data, but other examples like social network, right? We always say some person is well connected and that we know something is of value. But how to establish your network, your social network, social capital as an asset. And also, I want to use an example of the creator economy. Right? This is an example for establishing collective wisdom as an asset. So we know projects like some of the DAO can actually use blockchain to incentivize different parties in ecosystem. Right? People can create, participate and contribute different things in creating the artwork. Somebody can contribute the idea, somebody can contribute the text, somebody contribute the visual, and finally somebody can contribute other things. I think in the future with AIGC's help, this type of new economy, new asset will become more popular.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I think a lot of application has been mentioned, but it seems that these are not as mature as the applications in the financial industry. So I'd like to understand what are some of the key factors that causing enterprises to be hesitant about fully committing to them? What are the roadblocks out there? So Dr. Wang, you want to start?
From my perspective, there are several key factors that we are making the enterprise hesitate to adopt the blockchain technology. So first of all, I think it's in a certain regulatory environment, because right now the regulation landscape for enterprise is evolving based on the blockchain technology, and there is no very clear regulation for the blockchain technology application in different countries. So I also see that the different country has adopted different steps and the cadence for the blockchain technology compliance. So for the enterprise right now, they are hesitant to fully commit to using the blockchain technology in their business scenarios. This is the first one. And second one, I think, is in the security and data privacy issues or concerns. So far, the blockchain has an inherent security technology, but we also see there are a lot of data breach and some security breach for the vulnerability and some other counter exploits. So right now there is no very safe technology at this moment to make sure let the enterprise to make sure they have enough security technology and enough guarantee to widely use the blockchain in their core business. And then the other one is that blockchain provides the data transparency, while it also can potentially to expose the sensitive business data information. So this making the enterprise to be hesitant whether they can fully commit in the new technology. And further one, I think, is the skill gap and the talents. Because as everyone know, the blockchain is a relatively new technology at this moment, and we do lack of the skill from the enterprise, and the enterprise has many traditional and some legacy skill technology. But for the blockchain, they are still exploring how can they use the technology, and for how many talents they have can steer this technology in their business scenarios. So I think it's good for us to gathering together at the NTU, so we can try to educate and try to build up a more skill ecosystem for the blockchain. And then the fourth one, and the last but not the least, I think is the cost. Because for the blockchain, usually we need to spend amount of the upfront infrastructure expense to set up, to maintenance, to run, to develop the application based on the blockchain. So far, the enterprise don't have enough confidence whether they can get enough benefit if they invest so large deal of the cost. So the ROI, the return on investment, is a big challenge for the enterprise as well. So we see these key factors, but for Alibaba Cloud, we do have some service, such as the cloud service. We can reduce the cost, and we can give some security technology to guarantee or to protect the blockchain applications based on the cloud. So we can welcome our partner or customers. We can have a deep discussion on how can we make all the enterprise to use the new technology such as the blockchain to build up some innovation application for their core business.
Yeah, thanks. Any other response?
Yes, just compliment to Derek's point. So I've been working in financial industry for quite a long time before moving to Web3. And my observation right now is that there is still a security gap we need to close between the public chain and also the traditional financial business. For example, right now, in blockchain, in public chain, you can see nearly all the information, including your balance information for your wallet. But my experience, I didn't see any bank or even fintech company like Alipay didn't make your balance information to be public available to everyone, right? So how the business working in two worlds, they are different. So that is why we are working on a technology to research on how we can do a computation over encrypted data. So why not we just reuse the current Ethereum or other public blockchain technologies, but we are trying to make some data to be private, and then all the transaction can continue to happen. So you can do the financial business, but make sure that your data will be privately and also be enabled for the computation. So hopefully those kind of gap when be closed, then the adoption between or the gap between two worlds can be smaller.
Okay, thanks. So I think security and privacy have been mentioned many, many times. So in terms of security and privacy, do you think the existing blockchain infrastructure or system is enough, or would there be some emerging technology to become replacement of the current mainstream chains and protocols? Prof. Liu, would you like to?
Yeah, I think everyone is now concerned with security. Actually, this is probably one of the problems never can be addressed. There is no one can claim anything he built is fully secure, because there will be always new ways to hack the system. So I think this will be a forever problem. But now with the blockchain, this is especially true because this is a completely new computation stack. So you have the layer 1, layer 2, and all of these things. So this is the challenge. The second challenge is that this is not like the traditional operating system of the computation environment we're dealing with. You have a big company who are building all this mature operating system and all the middleware and all these solutions. So this is a evolving technology. You will have the new layer 2 coming up, and then you have the new contract, new application, and new standard for the ERC. So all of this actually bring more challenge because you have new code base, you have a new attack surface. So this is, I think, the current status of blockchain. But going forward, I think there are much needed kind of either on the research side and the solution side. to automate. I think still the key thing is I emphasized in my talk. The key thing is that there is a big gap between the security expert, hackers, white hat, with the demand of the application security level. So how to automate, how to bring the intelligence, how to bring AI into the process. I think that is, I think the one promising direction we could address this, but I think this is just the starting. I think still a long way to go.
Yeah, thanks. Prof. Chu, you want to add something?
I think security, Prof. Liu is definitely expert. I can talk a bit about privacy. So I think things like privacy is a very poorly defined notion, because something which as a challenge of privacy to somebody may not be a problem for other people. So it depends on the application domain. It really depends on the context. So while we emphasize on privacy, we also need to pay attention to the application, so that you can develop a technology that, yes, you're protecting people's privacy, but at the same time, you're really helping people in a certain meaningful way. So for example, in the project that I'm working on, our privacy mechanism can not only achieve the aggregate level analysis that, for example, Apple is achieving with differential privacy, but we can still individually target users without letting the system know who the user is. So that kind of technology is, is really achieving a good trade-off between the privacy and the utility of the data.
So another security we may need to also consider is cross-chain security. So right now, even if you want to transfer your money from your traditional bank to the blockchain, or transfer the assets across different chain, how to avoid, for example, the risk of the custodian, and also how to avoid double spending, those kind of security issue also need to be pay more attention when we're moving the blockchain technology forward.
Okay, thanks. So let's talk about sustainability. So how do we tackle the issue of expensive transaction cost in scenarios with significant amount of calculation and interactions, such as AI? So any thoughts on that?
I just asked ChatGPT about the same question, so he gave me 15 different answers. But I think essentially is the optimization capabilities either in the public chain layer. So now all this ZK rolled up kind of technology. This is one solution. The second one is the code optimization in the contract level. I think fundamentally they boil down to these two things. I think so far the layer 2 looks promising. I hope we can probably have better scalability in this solution quickly. Yeah.
I can chip in a bit. So I think we have to understand that blockchain is first and foremost a trust machine. Oftentimes people overload a single chain to let blockchain do everything, right? Because as we know, blockchain is not good at doing large amount of computation-heavy task. So we should actually use the appropriate technology for the appropriate task. Just let blockchain handle the most important thing, which is the trust part, but not try to always use blockchain to compete with centralized database or computational machine in terms of AI computation, these things. Many things we don't need blockchain to use. And oftentimes we don't, people now are overloading really a single chain with all the different functions.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Dr. Wang, you have any thoughts on that?
According to our business perspective, we noticed that most of the costs come from the intensive computation resource. So my suggestion is that we can separate or decoupling computing and from the blockchain, and using the blockchain only to record the result and output on the blockchain to make some transparency. And but for the computing part, we can move onto the cloud, because cloud has an elasticity and has a pay-as-you-go feature. So you can significantly reduce your cost by widely using the cloud technology. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Then let's move on. So in terms of regulation and compliance from different application sectors and domain, what are the challenges faced by blockchain technology today? Dr. Shao, you want to have something to say?
Regulator, they care a few factors. First one is whether there will be a risk behind. So blockchain, people are consider they are linking or associated to, for example, the financial risk. For example, money laundering fraud could happen by using blockchain. But also there are technology risk. So for example, whether we'll be able to disclose your data, lose your data ownership. This can be solved by blockchain, but also can be caused an issue by blockchain as well. Another factor regulator look at is the fairness. So whether this technology will make it fair to everyone who are connecting to these technologies. So blockchain bring with like, for example, trustless, permissionless, will be able to solving the benefit for regulators. But I think the question right now is what is the use case and what is the technology be able to do that kind of work and creating that kind of benefit. So I think the whole industry has been moving towards to that. And also the regulator is also try to embrace more on that. For example, right now, even SWIFT, which is the largest financial exchange network running by the core bank in this world, they are also embraced with blockchain technology for the cross-chain asset transformations. So it's developing and moving towards in that directions.
Okay, thanks. Anything you want to add?
Okay, for the financial industry, I think the most regulation to avoid the business risk is that know your customer. So KYC, because there are some users or some scams. They just use any others ID, but they avoid some regulation or some other risk compliance. And for the KYC, so the challenge is how can you guarantee this user is authenticity ID with an ID. So for us, we are providing the eKYC technology we call it Zolos, and that can identify, can recognize by different language passport, by different language ID, and they use your facial recognition to verify your ID's authenticity. And then the other one is that just like Jianhua's mentioned, it's in money laundering. So this is anti-money laundering. So how can you use the technology to anti-money laundering is also another challenge. So Alibaba and the financial, we are accumulating some technology from Alipay and some other financial tools. We can provide an AML, anti-money laundering, by the technology. So this technology can avoid some risk based on the blockchain scenarios.
Yeah,
maybe just to add one thing, I think there is a very famous saying that there are two things we cannot avoid in anyone's life, right? Death and tax. And I think we need to have proper tax policies in the compliance, the kind of system. Yeah.
Yeah. Prof, do you have anything to?
Another perspective is probably education, because think about nowadays a lot of issues and who are writing all the smart contracts, right? I mean, the engineers, the developers, but engineers and developers are not trained to write contracts, right? Lawyers and professionals are trained with that. So I think in the future, we really need to combine people from different disciplinaries to really collaborate in this effort. So that's why, for example, in SMU, we have computing law as a major where we try to combine the legal technology with the computer science technology. So in the future, maybe the lawyers start the contract and then developers translate that into smart contract, right? So that instead of developers come up with those contracts.
Okay.
That is also why NTU have blockchain master program.
Yeah, exactly, to solve the talent issues together. Okay, yeah, thanks a lot for the panelists. So we have a little bit time left. I also want to give the audience an opportunity to ask some questions to the panel. Any?
Hi, my name is Kenneth. I have a question. Do you mind if I record this so that I can remember the answer? My question would be for Dr. Shao and Dr. Derek Wang. So I understand that Dr. Shao, Mind Network is working on homomorphic encryption and I guess something similar or applicable to federated learning. I'd like to ask the impact of homomorphic encryption on federated learning given its limitation currently. And would you think that there are other directions on federated learning on decentralized data that will be worth exploring? And what impact this would be for the cloud industry, given that if everybody can actually hold on to their own data and actually decentralize federated learning by itself by generating a proof or having some third party to actually attest to the data that they have and then receive a task to actually run a federated learning task. Yeah.
Okay, maybe let me answer the first question. So Mind Network, we are building a zero trust framework, and one of the key technology we are using behind is the HEPHE, fully homomorphic encryptions. So this is to enable the computation over encrypted data. Comparing to other technology which you want to hear, for example, ZKP, zero knowledge proof, which is focused more on the I would say offline computation, and then to approve what you have done offline. And also there are other technology, for example, PSI or MPC, other technology, also can be used for the privacy computations. Okay. Federated learning has been used multiple technology behind. HEPHE is also being written into the paper, can be used, but also there are other technologies also being used for federated learning. So basic federated learning is a broader term to build a model pipeline. How you're going to build a model based on the different type of data, whether you have a full amount of data or you have a partial data, and then in order to build the model. So that's the difference, and we can talk more details offline if you want to hear more. Okay. What is the second question?
The second question would be, what will it be? How will it impact the cloud industry if we were to be able to have this decentralized federated learning?
Your question is how are we going to help?
How it will actually impact the cloud industry? Will people not make use of the cloud industry anymore?
You mean the competition, right? Okay. So I think homomorphic encryption is not actually compete with cloud computing. It's actually complementary to the cloud computing. Because one of the reasons right now, for example, bank or regulator, they cannot share their data, onboard their data to the cloud. And that is because they are not be able to trust or pass the regulation requirement in order to make their data to be secure enough. Derek may comment on that more later. Okay, but homomorphic encryption can enable you to encrypt data on your site, and then giving this data to store this in the cloud providers, and then you can outsource your computation requirement to the cloud, get the results back, but it's also in the encrypted format. And any user in their local environment with the key, they can decrypt the data. So this will actually enable cloud computing also to solving the last miles data security issues. Maybe in the future we will be able to say actually bank allow to store and also running application on the cloud natively in the future. Okay, and we are also working towards in that way, and we are working more kind of decentralized format. And also want to say that Web3 also closely working with cloud provider. A lot of service can be running on the cloud by individual or by company, and the cloud could be a good resource to provide that kind of computation resource to the Web3 company as well. Derek, maybe you want to share about the Web3 landscape in Alibaba Cloud?
Okay, as a cloud provider, Alibaba Cloud provides the fundamental infrastructure resource, such as the computing, storage, network, or database, or some big data, AI, and to serve all the security is a very big area, big question. And the Alibaba Cloud provides the security technology, such as the network entity doors or WAF, and some storage encryption, and some data transfer encryption. So these are very fundamental resources and some coupling security technology. And regarding Web3, Alibaba also provides some Web3 technology such as blockchain. We have an end chain, which comes from some hyperledger technology, and we also have a node service to compatible with some public chain. And but you know, Web3 or blockchain is a very new area, and the technology is evolving very fast. So Alibaba Cloud right now, we are supporting the cloud resource to many of our customer and partners, and we also build up we call the innovation accelerator. So which is our many partners. They are quite innovative and can provide different technologies in Web3 or in some ESG or in AIGC. Regarding Web3 or blockchain, we do have some partners such as security partners, Beyonce and some others. They can provide some specific security solution or technology to different customers' aspects. So if you do have an interest in, we can have some discussion to see whether our partners' solution, such as Jianhua or some other company's solution, can meet your requirements. And we can also discuss whether we need some new innovation technology to coupling with Alibaba Cloud. And our leader also here for our Singapore Innovation Accelerator, James, and we can also provide some further discussion with you or your team to see whether we can do this. Yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time, so let's thank all the panelists again.